Okay, hi guys. I will explain you today about average velocity. First, we need to define what velocity is. Just the term velocity talks about the speed of an object. What is the speed? It tells you how fast or slow something is. Okay? Now, the definition of velocity is velocity change in position divided by the change in time. This Greek letter, we know it as delta. Delta represents a change. So imagine that I am in a point A. Okay? And I need to go to the point B. So what's going to happen? I need to move. Okay? I need to go from A to B. So what is going to be my change in that position? So initially, let's say that I was at 0 meters. And after, I don't know, maybe after 1 second, after 1 second have passed, I'm already in the point B. And that point B represents 2 meters. For example. So, what was my change in the position? I come from the position 0 to the position 2. That is a change in the position, okay? Because I'm coming from a position 0 to a position 2. So that represents a change in position. Let's see another example. So, okay. Now imagine this. I have my car over here. Okay. And I'm going in that direction. Okay. So initially, this is what happens initially. Initially, my car is at the position 0. Okay. That's the first position of my car in the position 0. So let's say that in a time of 5 seconds, my car ends up in this point. So my initial point, I'm gonna call it position A, and my final position, which is in here, I'm gonna call it my position B. So what was the change in the position? I'm talking about a change in the position from A to B, okay? From A to B. And how I do that? How do I do the change in position? There is a formula for that, okay? That formula is called displacement, and is represented by the Greek letter delta and x, okay? X represents position. So because I'm doing a change in position, this is going to be called displacement. But the formula to get this displacement is final position minus initial position. So if I need to get a displacement of my car, in this example that I just did, my displacement then is going to be delta x equals the final position. My car ended up in the position 10 meters. This minus is from the formula, okay? But my car comes from the initial position, that is xi, or position A, okay? So my final position, remember, is B, and my initial is going to be A for this example. So initially my car was at 0 meters. So what is my change in the position? 10 minus 0 gives me 10. So that displacement, or in this case change of position, is 10 meters. We can do the same process, but now for the time. For the change in time, we're going to be doing the same. Final time minus initial time. You're going to consider the 2 points. The final point, that in this case is B, and the initial point that it was A. Okay? So, initially, at 0 meters, my time was also 0. But after I reached to the final position, I got a final time of 5 seconds. Okay? So, how can we transform this into a formula? We apply the formula that is called change in time. Because we're talking about a change, we're going to be using again the Greek symbol delta that represents change. So we say delta t, or change in time, is equal to the final time. So in the final position, my time was at 5 seconds. So I say my final time is 5 seconds. Minus, this minus comes from the formula, okay? So we say final time minus initial time. Initially, my time was 0 seconds. So my change in time is 5 minus 0, 5 seconds. So with this, you have your delta t. Now, how do we get average velocity? We're going to apply the formula that I gave you. Average velocity equals to delta x, or displacement, divided by delta t, or change in time. So we replace by each formula. Delta x is this formula from here, so I'm going to place it. Okay, so my formula gets transformed into x final minus x initial divided by t final minus t initial. So I'm just placing here the formulas for delta t and delta x respectively. Delta t and delta x. I'm just writing the equivalents for each definition of the formula. Now all I need to do is I replace by the given. In the first one, x final minus x initial, I got 10 meters. And then for the time, I got t final minus t initial, I got 5 seconds. Okay, so I applied this. Remember, because they are in opposite positions, what you perform here is a division. 10 divided by 5, that's going to give you 2. That's going to give you 2. Okay, now in what units do we measure velocity or average velocity? Take a look at the units. Meters on the top and seconds in the bottom. So average velocity is going to be measured in meters per second according to the SI system. This is just the main formula for average velocity. On Friday we're gonna do a more complex exercise. But before we do that, I need to show you something. This formula for average velocity comes from the slope. I don't know if you remember this topic in math, okay? But it comes from the slope definition, okay? In the slope, we're going to have 3 kinds. We're going to have a positive slope, we're going to have a zero slope, and we're going to have a negative slope. This is going to be positive, this is going to be 0, and this is going to be negative. Okay? So what happens in the positive slope? What do you say, or how do you determine that your slope is positive? Because the arrow increases, the arrow goes increasing, okay? We say that is a positive, okay? What happens if your money increases? That's something positive, okay? Now, when the slope is 0, it means that no change actually happened. So imagine here in the bank example, initially imagine that you have $20, okay? And after a year, you have $40. That's something positive because in a year you got more money than you had initially. So, because your money increased. It's 0 when, for example, at the initial of the school year you have $20, and when the school year is over, you still have the same $20. What happened with your money? It remained the same. So the slope for your money in that example is going to be 0. You didn't lose any money, but you didn't gain any money neither. So that's something that we say slope 0. And in here, imagine that at the beginning of the school year you had $20. After the school year had gone, you have here 0. So what happened? You just lost money. And losing is something negative, okay? So when the slope is it goes in a downward direction, we're gonna say that is negative, okay? So this also is going to help you for the class that we're gonna have on Friday. I want that you guys remember the direction of the slope, okay? If it's positive or negative, okay? And also I want that you guys remember this formula for Friday. Thanks for your attention.